Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and today I want to talk about comics that I want to pick up, big keys that I want in 2022. Now, about a little bit over 6 months ago, I made a list of comics that I wanted to pick up before the end of 2021, and, well, let's see how I did on it. The list included Young Avengers 1, Invincible Iron Man 1, Volume 3, the second print, the Riri Williams cover, Bloodstone 1, NYX 3, and Giant Size X-Men number 1. Well, I picked up, where's it at? I picked up my NYX 3, and that's actually one I wasn't so sure about getting, able to pick up, rather. I picked up the Bloodstone 1, that's currently off getting graded, but the other 3 I didn't get. So I'm 2 for 3 on that list. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want those books. One book is going to remain the same and the rest are going to be different. But before I tell you about the books that I want to pick up, I want to tell you about the books that I want to give away. So at 600 subscribers, I am giving away 3 awesome books. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment on this video, or you can actually leave a comment on any video on my channel. Every video you comment on a different video, I think I said that right. Each time you comment on a different video, it'll give you another chance to be entered into the giveaway. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the big keys that I want to maybe reasonably try to pick up within 2022. Now, like I said, I didn't do so well on last list. So, you know, new year, new me, though. I hope everyone's having a good new year, by the way. But that being said, we're going to start off with Young Avengers number 1. And like I said, this was on last list, and it's going to stay on this list as well, because I still think it is an absolutely essential modern key. It's basically the Giant Size X-Men of the modern era. It's a super good book. Young Avengers are on the rise. We already have several either teased or actually shown up. You know, we just had the Hawkeye series with Kate Bishop. Still waiting on some other ones. May not get the full team, or at least I think the MCU's Young Avengers is going to be a little bit different. Like, I assume America Chavez is going to play a role. She's not typically part of, and definitely not part of the original Young Avengers. Now, granted, is she young and can she be an Avenger? Sure. You know, I think she's going to make the MCU's cut. But, you know, things are always changing a little bit around. But this is, you know, it is just a big key. I definitely want to pick it up. I've been kind of on and off looking for it, not looking for it super hard. I definitely could have grabbed it by now, but I haven't. And I do think it's one. Now, granted, other books on last list, sure, I still really want as well, the ones I didn't get. But this is one that I think I need to get sometime soon, because it's only getting bigger and bigger. Now, the next book I want to talk about is Iron Man 1, and not the Iron Man 1 from last time. I'm talking about the original Iron Man 1. I'm just a big Iron Man fan. I feel like it's almost illegal for me not to own one, you know what I mean? It's not maybe even necessarily one that I'm, like, going crazy about. Like, I have to have it, I need it, you know? It's not one that I'm super speculative about. It's just one that I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I think I probably legally should own that book. I feel like I'm committing a crime. If you all know me, I collect Marvel Legends figures, and I have probably like 70 Iron Man figures. And, you know, I am a big Iron Man fan. I was a fan of Iron Man before the movie came out, and when the movie did come out, I lost my mind, you know? And obviously, he had an amazing run. Robert Downey Jr. did an incredible job. And it's just a book that needs to be up on my wall. So, moving on to the third one, we have Ultimate Fallout 4. And this is a book that I've recently been like, okay, I mean, I've always wanted it, don't get me wrong. But, like, with the Spider-Man climate of today's world, I need to have Ultimate Fallout 4. I do have a second printing, but I'm talking about specifically the first printing. And that second printing is getting graded. Eventually, presumably, I'll see it one day. But, yeah, I need that first print. It needs to be up on this wall. And that's part of a big thing for me moving forward in 2022, is I really want to work on upgrading this wall. And don't get me wrong, I love my wall. My wall is awesome. it brings me a lot of joy. My bed's literally on the other side of the room, like behind the camera. So I get to wake up every day and look at my wall, you know? So I really love my wall. I think it has a lot of awesome books on it. I'm very happy that this is the progress I've made from my first slab from a year ago. And I have all this plus more now. So I'm very excited about how far I've come. That being said, never stop, never surrender. We're going to keep making this wall even more intense and get even more bangers on here. So Ultimate Fallout 4, like I said, I mean, I think Miles is imminent for the MCU, and this is a book. I don't know when to buy it. I was thinking maybe, I guess this is a slight spoiler for No Way Home, but I was thinking maybe he might have like a little cameo or teaser or something in No Way Home, and that didn't happen. I guess you could say there was kind of a teaser, but very, very loosely. His name wasn't mentioned. He wasn't seen or anything. So, I think this book, it's just one that it's hard to say when is going to be a good time to buy it, because obviously I always want to say Into the Spider-Verse, but that's not what the new one's called. Whatever. We have the Into the Spider-Verse sequel. I don't know what it's called. Something about a Spider-Verse. Apologize if that is loud. It's raining a lot here, so my pump is going off. Anyway, Spider-Man Miles Morales will be coming eventually. But do I buy now? Do I wait until after Spider-Verse? Do I wait too long and then they announce them in the MCU and then I can't afford a copy? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it is a book that hopefully I'll be able to pick up this year. And before we get on to the last two are big bangers. I just want to say, I would love for you all to come check us out. Wednesday nights we stream at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we just hang out, talk about comics, talk about Legos, or not talk about, we make Legos, we build Legos. Mainly Chris builds Legos, and I talk about some comics and stuff. We might talk about some shows, if there's Disney Plus shows going on, or this or that, or movies, or just comic nerd stuff in general. If you have any questions, want to talk about this, that, speculation, investments, I'm down. I'm always down to talk about comics. So I would love for you all to get a chance to check us out. But let's go ahead and talk about the last two books on my list. So number 2 or number 4, however you're looking at this, is Clone Wars number 1. And this list is in order of what I least want. I mean, I want them all, but, least want to most want. So, Clone Wars number 1. This is a big book for me. First appearance of Ahsoka. I wish I grabbed it a long time ago before she made it to The Mandalorian. But, it's just a sweet, sweet book. It's one, again, that I want on my wall. A lot of these books, modern books like the Young Avengers, Fallout 4, Clone Wars, I'd be very happy with like a 9.0, maybe even an 8.5 in some cases, again, if the price is right. Especially for like the bigger ones like Clone Wars 1, I'd be happy with an 8.5. I'm not super snooty with the grades. They're not really investments. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if I bought a Fallout 4, let's just say I spent $500 on it, and then, Miles gets announced or whatever, and suddenly it's like a $2,000 book, I might be flipping it, But, I'm not really buying these for that purpose. I do think they're good books to own, and my main thing is I try to buy them before I can't afford them, is the main thing for me. Not necessarily for investment. Don't get me wrong, I buy a lot of books for investment. But with these big ones, I genuinely would love to have them. And if it just so happens they go up in value, then that's cool too, And Clone Wars is one that, we will be getting Ahsoka's own show later. And what is that going to do to the price of the book? It's going to be interesting. I assume to see some kind of a bump. And I don't really know when the best time to buy this one is either. Because maybe I wait until after the show hype has died down. Maybe, I don't even know when that's supposed to come out. But maybe I buy sometime now to, before it spikes up. Because that's the thing, people were like, oh, it'll go down after the show. Well, yeah, all books go down after a show or a movie or something. But maybe, and I'll just use random numbers again. So let's say I buy the book at $500, and then it spikes up to $1,000, and then it calmed down to $800. Well, even though it calmed down, it's still a new plateau has been set, and it doesn't happen for every book, sure, but you know, it happens a lot. If you actually look at a lot of the data on these big books and characters showing up in movies and shows and stuff, yeah, you do see the book go back down in value, and people go, oh, it's plummeting in value. It's like, well, it's still worth more than it was. So, now granted, Clone Wars 1 has already gone up a lot since she was introduced in The Mandalorian, so it might not have the same effect, but it's hard to say. Maybe the Ahsoka show comes out and it's the greatest show ever. Maybe it's not very good, which I would be very disappointed in, but maybe it's not, and then the book drops a lot. You know, how well these shows and movies and stuff are perceived has a lot of impact on the value. Now let's cut to the chase. We're getting to the big one. The book that I want to get the most in 2022. And if you're familiar with the channel, I've probably talked about it here and there, so you probably already know. We're talking about Marvel Spotlight 5, first appearance of Ghost Rider. I'm a big fan. I have the Robbie Reyes 1 in 25, which is my favorite book that I own. So I own a lot of cool books, and that's one that I've had for a while. It's still my favorite book, my favorite cover, and a character that means a lot to me. And now, granted, this is more debatable, I guess. I do think there's a good chance when we get Ghost Rider MCU, it probably will be Robbie Reyes. That being said, even if it is Robbie Reyes, or if we got Danny Ketch or whoever, Spotlight 5 is still going to go up in value. Doesn't matter if it's Blaze or not. Honestly, Johnny Blaze is a kind of a lame name. I mean, like, it works for a comic book, but if you were to kind of translate that into a real movie, you know, it's like, your name's Blaze, really? Come on. But a little corny. But regardless, I would love to get that book. I'm actually, if anyone, if I were to meet up with anyone and they were to be interested, I would consider trading my Amazing Spider-Man 50 for a Spotlight 5. I love that book. Kingpin is incredible. Can't wait to see what happens with him moving forward. But at the end of the day, you can't have every single comic. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices to get something you really, truly want. And I feel like I would miss that book, but I'd rather have Spotlight 5. And it's a tough call. Not everybody can make those tough calls, but I think I've committed. Now, that would be a hard trade to get anyway. I'd have to find somebody with a Spotlight 5. I want roughly the same grade, and they'd have to want the Spider-Man 50. So I mean, very narrow circumstances that would have to be hit in order for that trade to happen. But it's something that I've considered, and I would do if I found the right person that would be willing to do the trade. But that is the number one book that I want to pick up in 2022. I would love to know if you have any personal goals. By the way, for the month of January, I'm going to do a lot of reflective pieces. I guess this one technically was slightly reflective. We were talking about the books that I had as a goal and didn't get most of them. But we're going to do a lot of reflective pieces. I'm going to be doing videos on, my favorite comics of 2021, my favorite covers. I got all kinds of cool stuff planned out. I've been putting a lot of work into making these lists. The covers one was the hardest for sure. But anyway, I've put a lot of work into this list, and they will be coming out all the month of January. I have a lot planned. So I hope you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already. I got a lot of cool things coming up. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.